Imagine this. You're holding a small piece of paper. It looks worthless, just a crumpled lottery ticket. But in reality, it's the key to $340 million. That was the life-changing moment for a man named Ethan Cole. He wasn't a celebrity. He wasn't rich. He wasn't even particularly lucky. Ethan was just a 34-year-old mechanic from a small town in Ohio. He worked long hours fixing cars, lived in a tiny rented apartment, and dreamed of one day escaping the cycle of bills, debt, and endless overtime. But everything changed on a rainy Tuesday night when Ethan checked his ticket. The numbers matched, every single one. At first, he didn't believe it. He thought maybe the machine was broken or he was reading it wrong. But after triple checking, his hands began to shake. His vision blurred. He couldn't breathe. Ethan Cole had just won the biggest lottery jackpot in the state's history. And yet, no one would ever see him claim it. The story begins in the most ordinary way. Ethan had always been the kind of guy who bought tickets just in case. He wasn't a gambler. He didn't waste money on casinos or sports betting. But once a week, after work, he'd stop at the same gas station, grab a soda, and buy one quick-pick ticket. It was more habit than hope, until that Tuesday. Security cameras later showed Ethan standing at the counter buying his usual soda and ticket. He looked tired, his uniform stained with grease. He didn't smile at the cashier. He didn't even make eye contact. He just grabbed his receipt and walked out. That ticket, the one he almost forgot in his back pocket, would soon turn into a golden key. When he scanned it, the machine froze. Then came the message, "Jackpot winner, contact lottery office." Ethan's heart pounded so hard he thought he might pass out. He rushed home, locked the door, and spread the ticket out on his kitchen table. He checked the numbers online. They were identical. He turned on the TV. The winning numbers were displayed right there. There was no mistake. He had won $340 million. But instead of calling his family, instead of celebrating, Ethan did something strange. He pulled the curtains shut. He disconnected his phone. He didn't tell a single soul. For 3 days, Ethan didn't leave his apartment. Neighbors said they didn't see him go to work. His blinds stayed closed. The only sound anyone heard was the low buzz of his TV. And then on the 4th day, Ethan was gone. Police would later find his apartment unlocked. The ticket was missing. His clothes were still in the closet. His phone, his wallet, even his car keys, all left behind. It was as if Ethan had simply vanished into thin air. The state lottery office waited for the winner to come forward. Days turned into weeks. Reporters camped outside the headquarters, eager to interview the mysterious new millionaire. But no one showed up. $340 million sat unclaimed. And the man who had rightfully won it had disappeared forever. What really happened to Ethan Cole? Did he run away with the money? Did he get kidnapped before he could claim it? Or did someone close to him know about the ticket and decide he didn't deserve to live long enough to cash it in?
When police entered Ethan's apartment, the first thing they noticed was how ordinary it looked. No signs of a struggle, no broken windows, no blood. His jacket hung neatly on the chair. A half-eaten dinner was still on the kitchen counter, cold and untouched. His phone lay on the nightstand, its last call made 2 days before his disappearance, to his boss, calling in sick. But the one thing missing was the lottery ticket. Detectives immediately began piecing together Ethan's final days. They discovered he had not told a single friend, family member, or coworker about his win. His bank accounts showed no unusual withdrawals. His car sat untouched in the parking lot. To the outside world, Ethan's life had simply stopped. But then came the first clue. A week after Ethan vanished, surveillance footage emerged from an ATM near his apartment. At 2:14 a.m., just hours after neighbors reported hearing his TV shut off, a man was seen withdrawing money from Ethan's account. The figure wore a hood, and his face was never clearly shown. But investigators noticed one chilling detail. The man limped heavily on his left leg. When they asked Ethan's coworkers about anyone who matched that description, one name surfaced: Mark Dwyer. Mark wasn't just a coworker. He had been Ethan's closest friend at the auto shop. The two often worked late together, shared beers after shifts, and even went fishing on weekends. But coworkers also described Mark as bitter, angry, and always broke. He owed thousands in gambling debts. He constantly complained about money. And, perhaps most importantly, he walked with a distinct limp after a motorcycle accident years before. When detectives questioned him, Mark denied everything. He said he hadn't seen Ethan in days and knew nothing about the lottery ticket. But when police asked where he was on the night Ethan disappeared, Mark stumbled. He claimed he was home asleep, but couldn't provide an alibi. And then came the second clue. Ethan's apartment building had security cameras in the parking lot. Reviewing the footage, police spotted a car pulling in at 1:50 a.m., just minutes before the ATM withdrawal. It was Mark's car. Still, there wasn't enough evidence to arrest him. The ATM footage was blurry. The car sighting could be circumstantial, but suspicion grew. As the lottery deadline loomed, tension exploded online. News outlets ran stories about the vanished millionaire. True crime forums dissected every detail, pointing fingers at Mark, at Ethan's estranged family, even at the Lottery Commission itself. Some theorized Ethan staged his own disappearance. Others believed the win was too big to be an accident, that he had been targeted the moment those numbers were announced. But then, just when the case seemed to be growing cold, something shocking happened. 3 weeks after Ethan's disappearance, a janitor cleaning a bus station restroom in Cleveland, 70 miles from Ethan's hometown, found a crumpled lottery slip shoved into a crack behind the sink. It wasn't the winning ticket. It was a copy. On the back, written in shaky handwriting, were the words, "They know. Don't trust anyone." Forensic testing confirmed the handwriting was Ethan's. That single note changed everything. If Ethan wrote it, it meant he was alive after leaving his apartment. It meant he knew someone was after him, and it meant he was running. But who was chasing him? Mark, the desperate friend with debts? Or someone much more dangerous, someone Ethan couldn't even name? Police now had a mystery that stretched far beyond one missing man, because whoever was pulling the strings was willing to make $340 million disappear, along with Ethan Cole.
The discovery of Ethan's note at the Cleveland bus station transformed the case overnight. Until then, detectives assumed one of two scenarios. Ethan had been kidnapped, or he was already dead. But now, the possibility emerged that Ethan was running for his life. The handwriting analysis was conclusive. It was his. The frantic slant of the letters, the uneven pressure on the pen. Every stroke matched Ethan's known samples. He had written those words himself. They know. Don't trust anyone. But who were they? Detectives widened their investigation. They retraced Ethan's last movements more carefully. At his workplace, one colleague recalled overhearing Ethan on the phone the day before his disappearance. His voice was low, hurried, and tense. The only words the coworker remembered were, "I can't talk about this here. If they find out, it's over." The mystery deepened. Ethan hadn't just been hiding his lottery win from friends. He might have been hiding it from someone else entirely. Meanwhile, suspicion around Mark Dwyer intensified. He denied being at Ethan's apartment that night, but his car had been caught on the security cameras. Investigators discovered that just 2 days after Ethan's disappearance, Mark had suddenly paid off a $5,000 gambling debt in cash. Where did the money come from? Was it Ethan's? And if Mark had access to that much cash, what else had he taken? Detectives subpoenaed Mark's financial records, but nothing directly tied him to the missing lottery ticket. It was like the win had evaporated, along with Ethan himself. But the public wasn't buying it. True crime communities online exploded with theories. Some believed Ethan killed Ethan and buried him in the woods. Others thought Ethan staged everything to disappear with the fortune, leaving behind a decoy note. A more chilling theory suggested that a shadowy figure, perhaps someone from organized crime, had learned of the winning ticket and forced Ethan into hiding. And then came the twist that made national headlines. 4 weeks into the investigation, an anonymous tip reached the police. A man claimed he had seen Ethan alive in a remote truck stop diner just across the Pennsylvania border. The witness described him in detail. Same height, same brown jacket, same nervous mannerisms. He ordered a coffee, sat alone, and kept glancing at the door. Then, suddenly, he stood up, left the cup half full, and rushed out when a group of men in suits entered the diner. Surveillance cameras confirmed part of the story. A man matching Ethan's description was indeed there, but the footage was grainy. You couldn't see his face clearly. And those men in suits, when police tried to track them down, they found nothing. No credit card receipts, no license plates, no IDs. Almost as if they had never been there at all. The media pounced. Headlines screamed, "Lottery winner on the run. Mystery men hunting missing millionaire." Talk shows debated it endlessly. Was Ethan a fugitive, or was he being hunted? Theories grew darker. Some viewers believed Ethan had accidentally stumbled into a conspiracy much larger than money. One Reddit post that went viral claimed Ethan never won the lottery at all. According to the theory, the winning numbers were rigged, and Ethan somehow learned the truth. The ticket wasn't his fortune, it was his curse. Detectives, meanwhile, faced a dead end. Every lead fizzled out. Mark Dwyer remained the prime suspect, but without solid proof, police couldn't charge him. The mysterious diner sighting couldn't be confirmed, and Ethan's note remained the only direct message he'd left behind. The case was collapsing. But then, a final chilling piece of evidence surfaced. 2 months after Ethan's disappearance, a local fisherman was casting nets in Lake Erie when he found a wallet floating near the shore. Inside was Ethan's driver's license, his bank cards, and a damp receipt from a bus station dated the very night he disappeared. The wallet showed no fingerprints, no DNA, no clear signs of foul play, just a silent clue, drifting in the water. Had Ethan lost it while escaping? Or had someone planted it there to make it seem like he vanished into thin air? One thing was clear. Ethan Cole had vanished from his normal life. And whether he was hiding or dead, Someone was determined to keep the truth buried.
By the time Ethan's wallet was discovered in Lake Erie, most people assumed the story was nearly over. The police had no body, no suspects, no clear answers. But that assumption was about to be shattered. 3 weeks later, a journalist working on a documentary about Ethan received a package in the mail. No return address, no fingerprints. Inside, wrapped in brown paper, was a small USB stick. The journalist at first thought it was a hoax, but when he plugged it into his laptop, what he saw froze him in place. The video file was grainy, filmed in poor lighting, but the voice was unmistakable. It was Ethan. He looked exhausted, his face pale, his beard grown in. He sat in a dimly lit room with bare concrete walls. Behind him, the faint shadow of a barred window was visible. He stared into the camera, his eyes wide, trembling as if every second of recording might be his last. His words were chilling. "If you're seeing this, I'm not safe. I should have never bought that ticket. It wasn't random. None of it was. Please, tell my family I didn't abandon them. And tell the world the numbers were never mine to win." The video cut off abruptly. No explanation, no location, just those words. The tape leaked online within hours. Millions of views. Forums exploded. True crime podcasts picked it apart frame by frame. Some swore Ethan had been kidnapped and was being held by a secret group that controlled the lottery system itself. Others claimed the video was faked, a deep fake planted to keep people distracted. But the most disturbing theory came from an unlikely source, a retired lottery official. He claimed that decades ago, the system had been compromised, that sometimes winners weren't auto-elect, but chosen, for reasons the public was never meant to know. And if Ethan had stumbled across that truth, it would explain everything. Detectives tried to trace the USB. No luck. The package had been dropped into a random mailbox, postage paid in cash, no cameras, no fingerprints, no leads. Mark Dwyer, Ethan's best friend, was brought in for questioning once more. He maintained his innocence, swore he had nothing to do with the tape. But then he said something strange, almost like a slip. "Look, Ethan wasn't supposed to win. They told him that. They warned him." The room went silent. Detectives pressed him. Who warned him? Who are they? But Mark refused to say another word. His lawyer shut the interview down immediately. And then, just as quickly as it appeared, the video vanished. Every major platform took it down, citing copyright violations. Re-uploads disappeared within minutes. Entire Reddit threads were locked, accounts banned, posts erased. It was as if someone was scrubbing the internet clean. But not before millions had seen it. Not before the whispers turned into a roar. What really happened to Ethan Cole? To this day, the case remains unsolved. No body, no suspects, no clear answers. The police file lists Ethan as a missing person. The Lottery Commission denies any wrongdoing, and Mark Dwyer has never spoken publicly again. But in the darkest corners of the internet, Ethan's words still echo. It wasn't random. The numbers were never mine to win. Was he silenced for exposing a conspiracy? Did he stage the video himself as part of a desperate escape? Or was Ethan Cole nothing more than an ordinary man who accidentally won the wrong game? One thing is certain. The truth about Ethan's disappearance is still out there.